All right. So today I did want to have at some point just kind of this big video where I just talk about Pokemon Go and kind of my general thoughts on where it's gone and some of my problems with it and all that. But, I kind of I don't like being negative a lot of the time. I think part of the problem with the internet is everything just kind of spirals into negativity. Like you go to like some commentary channel and it'll just be like, this guy just fucked up, or like this is going too far or some shit. I hate that. So I don't really want to uh I feel like stuff always trends into like this really negative direction and I just fucking hate that. I feel like it's something that people don't realize enough, and then they just continue to watch negative shit, and then it affects their mood because, it's negative. But my whole kind of thing is I wanted to at least try to be somewhat positive. So that's why today I wanted to talk about something that I think is actually good that's not talked about enough in Pokemon Go, which is some of the good changes they've made. And they've made a decent amount of like changes over the years that are actually like really good. And people don't really think about them that often. And I think first thing I would say would be daily adventure incense. Because I remember when it got introduced, I was just like, wow, they added this. God, I'm still saying like, anyways, getting off that. It was just awesome to see them add something that was kind of not, really was kind of not a thing that made them money. I guess technically you can argue now that it is sort of a pay to win thing because you can do Roar of Time to like extend the duration of it so you can get a bunch of Galarian birds or something. I don't really think that's true, or at least it's that egregious, I should say. But it definitely has been a little pay to win in some ways, but if you just, grind at it, it's just an extra thing that you can do. And it's not like you're forced to do it. It's just something that's good to have. It's not like it hurts people to have the daily adventure and sense in the game. Like it's literally just something to benefit the player. So I think it is a very good thing that they put it in. And like sometimes I, go for a walk and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I have my adventure sense, so I'll just do that real quick. And it's nice. It's nice to just kind of have another thing to do when maybe you're kind of bored of the general gameplay loop. I don't want to take a gym. I don't fucking care about this raid boss or whatever. It's nice to be able to do that. And then they also put in roots, which were something that was like rumored to be coming for a really long time and it never happened. And people had kind of like given up hope. And I'll never forget the day when I found out that it was happening, because I was out to lunch and I just got this random email from Niantic that's like, we're inviting you to test out roots. And I was like, what? What the fuck? Like, this has been something that they've been working on for years, and people thought it was just kind of like a meme at this point, but like now it's actually happening. And I mean, yeah, they added roots in the game, and roots are honestly pretty good. They are pretty enjoyable. It doesn't take away from the game. It's just a good thing. So I'm glad that they put roots in the game, and I like creating routes. I remember the first route I created, it got fucking rejected and I was pissed. And then I started trying to make roots a while later. Like, I didn't make roots during that whole time I had, like, beta access to roots, because I was a higher level player. And I was gonna just give up on it, but then all the roots around me suck, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make some of my own. So I started making these ones where you could loop them, and everybody loves those fucking roots now. And I recently just made one where it's like you can start at the same stop and end at the same stop, so then you can just start it again. It's so nice. And it's great too, because you can just get free stuff for walking routes. So that's a fucking great thing, just being able to get free stuff. Like, you can get rare candies, you get free Stardust and XP, you know, there's the streak, so I think you get bonuses for that as well if you get to, you know, higher day streaks and whatever. And then of course you can get a very small chance to get elite fast TMs, but still, those are pretty rare, so it's cool that you can just get those by walking. And I guess there's also the Zygarde cell thing, which honestly a lot of people are like pissed about. They're like, oh, I never get fucking Zygarde cells. I don't know. I feel like I get them a decent amount of the time, and, you know, I honestly kind of enjoyed the grind. I didn't mind not having a Zygarde 100% form, whatever, for however long. I guess if you're a Master League player, it's a pain in the ass, but it never bothered me. So, yeah, I thought roots were cool, but the main thing that really kind of made me want to talk about this was the inclusion of Dynamax, because, to be honest, like, people would talk about Dynamax and Pokemon Go for years to be like, oh my god, I wonder how they're gonna do Dynamax. And I was like, I don't even know if I want them to do Dynamax. It sounds so fucking bad. You know, I don't like what they were doing that much in that generation. There were parts of it I liked, but I never really felt that Dynamax was like a good thing, or was that interesting. And I didn't think it was gonna be interesting in Go at all. Like, I didn't know how the fuck are you gonna do that? How are you gonna make it interact with raids? How are you gonna separate Dynamax and Gigantamax? You know, it's just a whole fucking thing. I didn't think it was ever gonna be something that would be worth having in the game at all. I thought that people were just high when they were asking for fucking Dynamax. And then they just randomly, like, announced it one day, and I was like, what the fuck? Why are they adding Dynamax in this game? But I am kind of okay with how they implemented it, to be honest. It's funny too, because the part of the implementation was kind of weird, because they made it so it just like took random Google Maps data or something, and it just took random like locations that are like marked on Google Maps or like businesses, and it would just put them there. So it was like, there's like some that you can find. I guess if you don't live in a city, you don't know about this, but like if you live in like suburbia or something, you'll see random fucking businesses on Google Maps that like make no sense, where it'll just be some, I guess, home business maybe or something. I don't know, but it makes zero sense, and those just show up in Go now. So you'll just have like some dude's name and his business, and it's like at his house, which is probably not great. There was one time I went to do a Dynamax raid, and I like the nearest one I could get to was like at some house where I was. So I like walk on the street and I'm just like standing in front of this house. It just felt really awkward. So that wasn't great. But Thing about Dynamax is, first off, the rewards are pretty nice because it gives you a decent amount of XP, Stardust, all of that stuff, especially if you do the higher tier stuff. It gives you some pretty good rewards. And then on top of that, you usually get like rare candies, and you can get candy for leaving Pokemon in a power spot. So like I've been leaving my Moltres in power spots so that I can get Moltres candy so I can give my shiny Galarian Moltres a new move, which is awesome. That's just a good thing. It's not like this is something that hinders players or requires players to put money in to really get the most out of it. It's just a basic thing. And the other thing that's nice about Dynamax too is you get limited to the 800 particles a day, right? But that's like a soft cap, and you can, if you can optimize it enough, you can actually get more than that. So if you collect, I think it's like 780 is the maximum you can get or something like that. Yeah, I think it's 780. Collect 780 and then you collect your 300 walking particles and you go up to, what would it be, 1080, right? Which is, that's more than the daily, soft cap, right? And the other thing that's cool is that if you do like a legendary or something, or you do a Gigantamax, it's 800, which is, the soft cap per day. But let's say you do a shitty 1-star one, it doesn't cost that much. So that's something that's really cool. I wish that they would retroactively do that with raids, to be honest. Because the raids, like, it sucks when you could be doing a legendary raid and you're doing like a what's an example of something like a Shinx in a rare. I guess technically Shinx is rare, like Inkay or something. It fucking sucks when you're like, I could be using this to get like a Shadow Mewtwo, and I'm using it to get a fucking Voltorb. That feels terrible. But it feels a lot better when it's like, so I could get, I don't know, a Dynamax Moltres, for example, with these 800 particles, or I could get like 3 Voltorbs, and if I do 1 Voltorb, it's not gonna count as my whole thing for the day. I could still do more. I think that's something that goes a little underappreciated when it comes to Dynamax. And I get that there's some like kind of awkward things with it. Like you can't take the Pokemon that you have already and then make it into a Dynamax. So you have to have a Dynamax version, which then kind of makes it so you have your original ones that are really good. Like maybe you have like a Hundo Charizard or something, right? But then you need to get the Dynamax version that's good because you can only use it in Dynamax. But then Gigantamax comes out, and then you need a Hundo Gigantamax Charizard now or something if you want to have a Hundo Charizard that is the best one you can have in Dynamax. So it's just like this thing where you're just forced to keep a bunch of shit, probably more than you want to, and it also makes those original ones that you have less valuable because they can't Dynamax, whereas the new ones can. But I don't mind it that much. I think it's fine. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the Gigantamax thing, and I know initially a lot of people didn't like Gigantamax because I think when they first did like the Kanto starter Gigantamax, it was like terrible. Like you would have lobbies of the maximum amount of people and they couldn't do it. But I think also part of that is because people didn't understand Dynamax back then, and people didn't, they weren't really building great counters for it, and we didn't really have that many great counters for it too. Nowadays, not so bad, even if you have like inexperienced people. Like I think it was a Dynamax Inteleon or something, or no, I think it was Cinderace, and there was like 5 people in this one that I was near, so I was like, okay, I'll get in there. So I got in there. I I got in there. I was in another lobby. There was two lobbies. I think it was either 6 or 7 people. I think it might have been 7. Because I remember I was in another team. I was in the second team with 2 other people, and they like had garbage Pokemon. It was like Wooloos. Like actually literally like Wooloos. And so I was just sitting there trying my hardest to survive. It was so funny. But we actually won that with 7 people, like 2 of which were basically not doing anything. We still won. Because even if you have somebody that isn't really contributing much, they're just bringing Wooloos or whatever, maybe like a Charizard, like a Dynamax Charizard, if they get knocked out, they can always still cheer. And that does actually help, which I think also kind of ties into something else that I think is really cool about Dynamax, which is raids. There's not really a ton of skill expression. There is definitely some, like, don't get me wrong, it's basically mindless tapping for 80% of it. And especially now, dodging used to be a lot harder to do, and then it just made it really fucking easy. And now it's just kind of underwhelming. Like when you just have to dodge 2 or 3 seconds before it attacks or whatever. It's really simplistic to do. It used to have to nail the timing for it. It's so much harder. They don't really have much skill expression though. There is tiny bits of skill expression here and there, like knowing that you can back out before your Pokemon faints because it takes less time, that sort of thing. But 90% of raids are just really simplistic and easy to do. Whereas with Dynamax, they made it so much better. So Dynamax, first off, there's the dodging where, you know, it's not like you could just dodge every attack. You can only dodge the one that does like a lot of damage and specifically targets you, which I guess is kind of a pain in some ways. But it also means you don't constantly have to be dodging all the time. And then also with the dodging, you can use it to get the particles, which is cool. And the other thing that's interesting about Dynamax is that it's not just about I am just spamming my fast attack till I get to my charge move, and then you know, just using the charge move. Like that's how normal like raids go pretty much. Obviously there's like some nuance in there, but generally speaking, not very skill expressive. And I guess Dynamax, it kind of is similar because, you know, you're basically just spamming fast attack to get to the max phase. But there's actual decision with the max phase because you have to think like, do I want to heal or do I need the shield to protect people or whatever, to protect like the other people in my team, or should I be focusing on attacking? And that decision making is actually really cool. And then to add to that, they also it's also interesting because you can kind of decide if you want to use like a Dynamax or Gigantamax, because sometimes maybe a Dynamax is better. Like maybe a Dynamax Blastoise could be better than a Gigantamax one because you can actually use the fast attack to DPS, and then your Dynamax move will be, you know, whatever the move that you want, because Gigantamax will only do the specific type, that sort of thing. There's a lot of like weird little things like that with Dynamax, but it makes it more interesting. It makes it gives the player more options on what to do. And then even when it comes to the fast attack thing, it's pretty much the meta to just only fast attack really, because that gets you to the max phase way quicker. But when you're doing like 1 star or 2 star or whatever, you can do like enough max attacks or enough fast attacks right before you get to the max meter, and then you use one charge move and you can finish it early. You can finish the thing before the max phase starts, which is really sick. I feel like there's a lot of stuff with that in Dynamax, and I think it's good for the game because I like when there's more skill expression in the game. I kind of hate how the game over the years has become so mindless, I guess would be the way to say it. Like I hate when they do stuff where it's not about skill expression anymore, cuz I mean, I know it's mostly a casual game, but there is some skill to it. And I like when they do, for example, those catch mastery events where it's like, about landing excellent throws. That's cool because it rewards players for, rewards players for getting excellent throws. Whereas other events, it'll just be like, oh, just catch this amount of Pokemon. That's also why I really like the Masterwork researches for years, because they had some pretty interesting stuff. Like even the Jirachi one was kind of drawn out, but the 10 Kecleons thing took me like 2 years to do, but when I completed it was so fucking satisfying. It was so satisfying. And I wish they would do stuff like that more. I know a lot of people are shitting on the XP celebration thing where, it's before they're going to increase the level cap and all that. But, it's kind of time gated in this weird way that makes it very difficult for players to complete, and a lot of people probably aren't going to make it. I don't even know if I'm going to make it because I haven't really been grinding it super hard, but I do appreciate it. Even if I don't finish it, I just like the fact that I can, that I'm doing these tasks and they're getting progressively harder, and I keep having to, put in, maybe an extra kilometer here and there, or, going out of my way. Okay, let me fight these rocket grunts because I got to do the rocket grunts, or I got to do the Team Rocket members, or let me switch my buddy to another buddy so I can get candy easier, that sort of thing. I like when they do that sort of stuff and there's like actual skill expression to it. It annoys me that they don't do more stuff like that. And I loved a lot of the old Masterwork researches for that reason, because it is like a grind and you have to like work for it and think about what you're doing. It's not just about, okay, let me just catch as many Pokemon, let me spend some Pokestops, that sort of thing. You have to put in the effort, which is awesome, because the thing I love about the game so much is that it's very, very simplistic, but there are these little tricks and things that you can do to like maximize the experience. Like if you're a good player, you can get a ton of excellent throws. That was one of the big things that got me to 50 over the years, was I would just play community days and I would just focus on hitting excellent throws when it was like the 3 times catch XP or whatever, or 4 times catch XP. I would just hit excellent throws, and every excellent throw you're getting like, 6,000 XP or something, or maybe more, 7,000 XP maybe from that with the lucky egg. That's pretty good, I mean, even without a lucky egg, I have like 62 lucky eggs I haven't been able to use. I'm going to be able to use them soon because of level 80 coming, but it's something where I like when there is skill expression in Pokemon Go, because on the surface it is a very simplistic game, but when you get more into it, you realize those little tricks and tips, and it just makes the gameplay feel even more rewarding. Like I remember when I started learning all these little tricks, and just it felt so satisfying to just see myself get better at the game. And that's why I love those bits of skill expression. And that's part of the thing I really love about Dynamax, is just being able to have more skill expression and kind of knowing these little things, like knowing, okay, I do this many fast attacks, and then when I get to this fast attack, I press the charge move, and then I can complete it before I even do the max phase. So, it saves me some time, stuff like that. That is what I love about the game, and that's why I love Dynamax. I think I never expected Dynamax to be something I cared about, and I thought the implementation of it at first was very fucking weird. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but after everything, I think it genuinely is probably one of the best things that they've done in many years. Like, there has been some good things they've done, like I mentioned, with the daily adventure incense and the roots, and obviously there's more stuff too. I think, like, RSVP, for example. RSVP is something that I hear pretty much nobody talk about ever, but I think the RSVP feature is probably one of the best things that they've done in a while, because it's a way where they don't have to add communication, because, you know, they kind of can't really add communication easily because it's Pokemon. They don't want, you know, Nintendo doesn't want people to be able to talk in the game, because then, you know, because kids play the game and that sort of thing. But this is a way where it's like you can communicate, but, you know, it's not like you're directly messaging somebody. You're just saying, hey, you know, I'm doing this raid at around this time, so, you know, if anybody else is around and they want to do the raid, then we could do that, you know? And that's cool. And I have some other thoughts on the RSVP feature specifically, but I'll save those for another day. That's another topic that I want to talk about someday. I kind of wish they would do a little more with it. Like, I wish, for example, I know they did the thing where they patched the glitch where you could get into raids from further away. I wish they would make it so that if you RSVP'd, you could reach from a little further away. Something like that. Because then people still know you're there. But it's not like... Because sometimes you RSVP and then, you know, you're walking somewhere. You're walking in like a big park. And then you don't have enough time to get back to the gym and you miss the RSVP that you RSVP'd for, and it sucks. So, you know, that's an example of something I think they could do. I mentioned that in another video I never uploaded, because then it kind of turned into a different topic, and then I like re-recorded it like 3 times and it never saw the light of day. Maybe I'll post it someday, who knows, but yeah, that's like an idea I've had for a while, and I think it would be a very interesting thing if they did that, but who knows? I don't know if they'll do that or not. Because honestly, I feel like they become a little more money hungry, if I'm being honest. You can tell they're trying to make money. It's no longer, you know, solely about the vision for the game. They want to make money. It's a mobile game. Still not as egregious as a lot of other mobile games, like Hearthstone. But, yeah. But overall, I mean, yeah, I think... Oh, and before I forget, because I was almost going to close this out, the thing I also love about Dynamax is that at first, like, I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to do one of these Gigantamax things, because, you know, there's just not that many people around here. But when my local community started coming together, I think the first one I ever did was during Wild Area, actually. We did like 2 Gigantamax Toxtricity, and that was honestly so fun. Like, just being with a bunch of other people in my local community and just talking, you know, and trying to take down this boss. Obviously, I think Gigantamax gotten a little easier now, and I feel like it's gotten really easy now that we have a lot of power creep stuff, because now we have Crown Zacian, Crown Zamazenta, and Eternatus now. I don't really know how they're going to top that, but I'm sure they'll find some way to make some pay-to-win thing that's super broken or whatever, you know. They'll find some way to top those so that people will spend another $30 or something to get one of those. But getting back to it, though, doing those Gigantamaxes with just a ton of people, it was honestly awesome. It's probably something that not everybody can do. I think one of the problems that people have in Pokemon Go is they see what, like, YouTubers are doing, where they're going to these big cities and they're, you know, in these fucking huge lobbies. There's hundreds of people playing the game, and, you know, people are getting shinies and hundos everywhere. I think if you live in a rural or suburban area, like, you just have to temper your expectations. Be like, I am not going to be a fucking city player. You know, I'm not gonna be able to do a million raids. There's gonna be days where I don't use my daily raid pass. There's gonna be days where I don't. You know, there's gonna be researches maybe I don't complete in time. There's gonna be legendaries that I don't catch for a while, and you just have to be okay with that. You have to set your expectations, knowing that the game is not really gonna be as easy for you as it is for other people. You know. And so, for some people, obviously, it sucks that they're not going to be able to do Gigantamax stuff. Now they can because of remotes, but that's a whole other topic for another day. But, you know, I think there's definitely a sweet spot with it, and it was really nice to just see, like, the whole community come together and take down this raid boss. It was fucking great. It was awesome. And then, you know, every Gigantamax since then, I would genuinely look forward to it because I wanted to, you know, it was nice just being able to just be with this group, this giant group of people taking down something, you know, all working towards this one common goal to just do this. It was awesome. You know, and it's kind of cool. I guess you don't really realize it, but you don't realize it until you kind of get to experience it, but it's just really cool to be with a bunch of other people that all like the same thing or are doing the same thing as you. You know, it kind of gives you like a common ground that you can, you know, talk about. So it's not like you just kind of walk up to a person's like, hey, nice weather we're having, right? You know, that sort of thing. You actually have common ground to talk about with other people. So I know that people get annoyed. They're like, oh, I don't want to have to travel, you know, 5 miles to go meet up with people to play, you know, or to do a Gigantamax. I think that's kind of dumb, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe dumb's not the right word, but I don't know. I mean, temper your expectations. Be like, okay, I'm just not going to interact with Gigantamax then, or, you know, just find something that you can do to make it easier for you. I don't know. But for me personally, Gigantamax actually became one of the things I enjoyed the most out of everything, because yeah, Gigantamax is maybe not, it's become, I guess, a little less hype because they've also released like a bunch of them, but it's nice just because, you know, you get to that's such a weird, you get with a bunch of people and you just all, you know, are trying to defeat this raid boss and all that. It's cool. It's cool. It's genuinely something that's really fun. And I think it's something that encourages what Pokemon Go was meant to be in the first place, right? Like, you were supposed to be able to go out there and just play Pokemon and catch Pokemon and meet with other people and, you know, battle something together. And that's what Pokemon Go is supposed to be about. And I think they did a pretty good job with that. So, honestly, I think Dynamax was something I never thought would be a good mechanic in Go. And I thought when people were talking about it initially, like, this is how they could put Dynamax in Pokemon Go, I thought it was fucking stupid. I genuinely, I thought it was fucking stupid. I never would have imagined that it actually became probably one of my favorite parts of Pokemon Go. And the great thing too is that it's not like you have to be constantly interacting with it. If you don't care about Dynamax, you don't have to really do much, you know? I mean, I guess it sucks that power spots will just kind of be there and they're just kind of going to exist and maybe they get in your way or whatever. But it doesn't hurt anybody that this mechanic exists, and in fact, it makes it better, if anything, because, you know, you can just get free rare candies by just doing random, Dynamax stuff, so. I think they, in the future, I think they should look at Dynamax and Gigantamax and try to make more stuff like that, because I think it ultimately was the right move for Pokemon Go. As crazy as as crazy as it sounds. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to add. This is a pretty long thing. I did not expect to be talking about Dynamax for like fucking half an hour, but here we are. I have some other thoughts on things related to Pokemon Go, so I guess if you want to hear about that, tell me about that. But for now I'm probably gonna go play more Pokemon Go. I guess probably I should check my auto catcher. Actually, I think I kind of fucked up. No, I did have nearby. Pokemon on, so I don't... Was it catching things? Not really. And also, my item bag is full. I'm gonna just get rid of some berries real quick. But yeah, I guess that's it.